February always brings really bright, sunny winter days. It's still cold, but you know that the winter is coming to an end. March will be here soon. I decided to take a vacation. I needed a break from my knitting, but I still have some finished projects to share with you, and a new intarsia project, and I'm hoping to have one last project from Rowan Magazine 68 before the new season release comes out. Also, watch while I do a little bit of swatch sleuthing. Hi there, it's Anne here on the Life LDC Knits channel. I'm having a cup of tea and I'm wearing my sunglasses because I'm in sort of a bit of a vacation mode. It's Thursday, February the 25th. I took an awful lot of February off. I went on vacation, not a physical vacation, a mental vacation. I took a little bit of a mental vacation away from knitting because knitting is my, it always was my big thing. It was something I thought about all the time, and I have to be honest, it's coming up to a full year of head-on strong knitting. I've been knitting like crazy and focusing on production knitting rather than, to be honest, the enjoyment of knitting. I hit a wall and I decided for the first couple of weeks of February that I would take a little knit vacation. So while I was on my knit vacation, I had a chance to think about a few things, and so when I went back to my knitting just last week, it was with a little bit of a subtle shift in my purpose. So I hope you grab yourself a cup of tea or coffee or whatever of your choice. I don't know where you are in the world. It might be after 5 o'clock, so whatever. So grab a drink of your choice and sit down and join me for a few minutes of knit chat. Let me put my regular glasses on. Might be too bright for my regular glasses. Might have to put my sunglasses back on. So while I was on knit vacation, I decided to dust off my sewing machine. Well, my sewing machine already was dusted off because, like everybody else, I've been making face masks. And I've been refining and upgrading my style of face mask as the different requirements have changed. I've just finished making another 4, 2 for the hubby, 2 for me. We wear them until I decide that they need to be replaced or upgraded. But while the sewing machine was out, I became aware through a couple of my knit friends about a little sewing project. I hadn't paid too much attention really to sewing bags of any sort, but I didn't realize what a big hobby it was. So, as I say, my knit friends introduced me to Noodlehead and her Pepin bag, and I was very excited to see it and see that it was. After I looked at the videos, I thought, okay, I could do this. This maybe would be a good alternate to knitting, because knitting, you're focused here all the time on your hands, and sewing, you're cutting, you're ironing, you're moving around. And so I took my downstairs area where all my knitting stuff is, cleaned off my old desk, set up my sewing machine, tidied it up there, sort of made it a little bit more permanent. And come on, Lucky, and set myself up to sew. So for my first ta-da moment as a sewist, I'd like to show you my Pepin bag. And here it is. the fabric is what they call it a railroad twill. And I was instantly drawn to it. And I think that's because Jezebel, the bag lady, the Canadian bag lady, she uses the railway twill in her bags. I just happen to have one of them here. And see how it has the railway twill on the inside? So I knew I sort of liked the look of that. So I ordered up some railway twill, and this is my lining fabric. Isn't this amazing? It's called Ladies in Coats. It's got a little touch of gold on it. Nice size bag. It holds a full 10 balls of felted tweed. Very important in my life. And you can see the lining. All the ladies in coats on their lining, in the lining. There's 3 pockets. 1, 2, 3. I put a notepad in one of them. Shows you how big the pocket is. So it's a really nice size bag. It's light. Like I love my leather bags, but if you had a leather bag this size, gosh, it would be heavy. So this is really nice. It's nice and light, but still sturdy enough. It's interfaced. It's got a snap, a magnetic snap to hold the top together. I didn't want to attempt, I'll be honest, I didn't want to attempt a zipper on my first bag try. So, so I think I'm actually going to make another one of these, and I'm going to put a zipper in it and see what it looks like. See if I can handle the zipper. So this took not that long to sew once you get sewing, but you have to cut it out, you have to iron, you have to interface. I had to wait for all my bits and bobs to arrive, my webbing and the fabric to arrive. So I really enjoyed this, and this was my first finished creative project of February 2021. Pepin bag, noodle head, I'll put a link below. So I don't know if you're like me, I have quite a decent, overly decent, like really bad stash. I've got most of it on Ravelry, and someone contacted me about Rowan color spun, and they said that they wanted to know, they saw what I had on Ravelry, but they wanted to know if I had these other colors that they needed for a specific project. No, I only had what was on Ravelry. They said thank you, off they went, but it got me pulling out my Rowan color spun. And I really love the way color spun knits up. Like, look at the, the name is color spun, but look at the colors that are in it. So I had this blue, and I looked at it. I think I've got 4 balls, and I really liked it. Hubby has a sweater knit out of color spun. He loves it. So I thought I'll look around for a pattern. And what for some hats in particular, seem to be appropriate for the cold winter weather. So I found this hat called the Gwyneth hat, free pattern on Knit Rowan. I'll put a link below. I'll show it here. And it calls for 2 skeins of the Rowan chunky cashmere. Now, that's a lovely, lovely yarn. But when I looked at the gauge, I thought, I wonder if I doubled up the Rowan color spun, if it would work. And it did. So I made this hat for my hubby. And it's great because it's got a double layer for over his ears. And he wears this really on the really cold days. And in particular, this has now become his snow blowing hat. Very important here is your snowblower hat, because it's got to keep you warm for the duration of the job outside. So not to be outdone, I thought, ooh, I could use a nice hat like that when we're out walking and it's really cold with lackey. So I made one in this brown colorway. And then I added this luscious it's a real fur pom-pom. I'm sorry. Long story. Back in the day before I developed the I gotta admit, I used to like having a fur coat. It was absolutely gorgeous. I loved it. And then times change like things do. You become more aware, you become more educated. And I stopped wearing it. It hung in the closet. And then I found a company in Montreal that actually takes your fur coats and recycles them. So instead of them getting thrown away, which I didn't want them to be thrown away. It was a beautiful coat. So I sent it to them, and they, to thank me, they asked me what I wanted, and I said I wanted some pom-poms. So they made me some pom-poms from my coat. So to me, it's a win-win because my coat is being recycled. Someone somewhere is either wearing a hat or muffs or a vest or whatever that's being made out of my beautiful coat, and I've got some pom-poms. So having recycled fur pom-poms, I think, is a decent way of honoring the fur. Nowadays, would I actually buy anything that was new fur? No. Okay, so enough on that. So these were Stash Happy projects. 4 more balls out of stash. So while I was contemplating things during my knit vacation, I had a good look around at things that had been started and abandoned, and decided to pull out one project that I really loved. And I don't know if you remember last summer, but Tanis Lavalley of Tanis Fiber Arts put out a pattern called the Rocket Tee, and it was raglan short sleeves, and it alternated stripes between fingering and mohair. Absolutely gorgeous, but I know myself that I don't suit short sleeves, and with the stripes it would have accentuated here. So but I did take inspiration from that. I bought the pattern, I read it, I took inspiration from it because it was alternating 8 rows of the fingering weight and 8 rows of the Kid Silk Haze. So I took some inspiration from my Breton tee and I knit this top. Unfortunately, I ran out of steam when I got to the sleeves. The sleeves, I knit the body up, I did the neckline shaping, I finished the shoulder seams with short rows to give a slightly angled shoulder down, which is very important when you're wearing one of these boxy tops. And then I stopped. So when I was searching around for things that I'd left hanging, this seemed like something that was pretty simple to do. I don't even know if there's really any decreases in the sleeves. I think the sleeves are just straight down, and I quite like it. And I really did size it by laying it on top of my Breton top and getting the length right and everything. Now, it's quite a bit brighter than I actually anticipated, and I'm surprised at that. Well, maybe I shouldn't be surprised, but here's the it's, how do you actually say this? Ushitita, made in the Netherlands. Got it from the Needle Emporium. When I bought this, when you walked into the Needle Emporium, there was a whole wall of all these hand-dyed yarns, absolutely spectacular. Different brands all mixed together, organized by color. Very, very smart, because you just are hit by this wall of color. And this one in particular, like, look at the colors in that. And then when I saw the name of the shade, I was hooked. It's called Highlands. And being of Scottish ancestry, the Highlands just called to me. Anyway, so I came home with 2 skeins, and I was actually going to do something else with this that involved my Rowan pure linen. But anyway, that fell apart. So when I was thinking about the Rocket Tea adaptation, this came to mind. And I went down and looked into my Kid Silk Haze stash, and this beautiful color of blue really seemed to pick up on it. Now that you see it knit up, you can really change up the drama of this kind of design. Like, what if I had gone with the dark navy Kid Silk Haze? Or what if I had gone with like a really pale green? It would give it a total different a different look. So when you put your hand dyed and your Kid Silk Haze together, I didn't make a swatch. I got to admit, I didn't make a swatch. I think if I had made a swatch, I might not have put these 2 together. But I'm glad I did. It is quite bright for me, I have to admit, but it does look, let me just see. I think the fit is great, and the color's bright. It does look great with jeans, and I think in the summer it will look really good with like cream linen pants or whatever. I really am interested to see if you can actually wear ring weight and single strand mohair in the summer. Stay tuned, because I'll be reporting back. So since the last time we video blogged, I have started my next step in intarsia knitting. I did that faux intarsia with the Paint Daubs shawl blanket wrap that I did, but this time I'm doing true intarsia. And what I've decided to knit is this cover shawl from Vogue Knitting. It's a Cafe design, of course. It's in felted tweed, of course. And it's quite spectacular. The colors are amazing. And with my stash of, and I found a project on Ravelry where the great knitter had put down exactly how much by weight yarn that she used of felted tweed. So I ran downstairs with that page on my iPad and dove into my felted tweed leftovers box, and I was really fortunate that I had everything I needed. But I did make a couple of changes. The trim on this, the way it's knit, is tawny, and tawny is sort of a purpley color. And I didn't want the edge to be a purple. I decided I wanted the edge to be, what did I decide to do the edge? Barn red. I decided I wanted the edge to be barn red. And there's one color that I don't have a lot of in my stash, and it was barn red. So I did have to order a couple of balls from my local yarn store, Needle Emporium. But other than that, I had all the appropriate colors for this whole project. Now these are the colors that are not on my needle at the moment. Here's the project. Now this is true intarsia. See all the balls of yarn? They're in this. This is a wine gift box, bottle of wine gift box. So I put them in order in the gift box, and I can knit across and make my changes. And what's unusual about this pattern is not only do you have these intarsia blocks, but you have this stranded pattern that goes through the whole design. It's almost like that Japanese sewing on top of it. And so you what I'm doing is I've measured out how much I need of each of the colors that are stranded across, and they're left loose. The other colors are still in the ball because you need a significant amount, and there's only 5 or 6 on each full roll. So I thought I could manage it that way. And let me see if I can spread this out on the 2 needles and you can see how big it's going to be. There you go. It's going to be a significant size of wrap, isn't it? So this is my next step in the world of intarsia. I have to say that I can't do this for a long time. I can do a few rows and then I just actually want to knit. So I'm not going to put a lot of pressure on myself. The only pressure I'm going to give myself a timeline of, I want this done in 2021. I don't want this to be the project that I find 3 or 4 years from now and say, why didn't I finish it? So I'm going to sort out sort of a schedule, how much I have to do each month. Now, there are two, 4 charts, and they're repeated twice. So 8 pages of knitting is to finish this whole wrap. So what I want to do is each quarter of the year, January, February, March, April, May, June, I want to have finished 1 page of knitting. So I have to pick up speed here because I need to finish these 2 charts by the end of March. And just a tip if you want to knit this, I find the charts really hard to figure out what color you're needing. If you go to the Vogue Knitting website, they have this, you can download this, and it makes it really simple. They've done it just by the letter of the color, so that you know which big block is which letter. So I'm finding this very, very helpful. Thank you, Vogue Knitting. So that is my next intarsia project. I'm a little bit scared, to be honest, but I think it's time to put on the big girl knitting needles and tackle intarsia. Is anybody else inspired to tackle intarsia this year? So while I'm knitting intarsia, it's something that you can't just knit, and I do need something to knit while I'm watching TV. And I've mentioned before, we really like foreign series and movies that you have to read the subtitles, so can't be doing stuff like that in intarsia with stranded on top of it when you're watching foreign movies. I still had my eye on another project from Rowan 68, and I was contemplating one of the felted tweed projects that the designs that Martin Story had done. And after having a good look at them and trying to decide which one would be more useful in my wardrobe, because that's just the way I'm thinking now, I decided that Palladium would be perfect. It's a longer length cardigan. It's got a button to hold the front. The pattern has you knit these front bands at the same time as the front pieces, so none of this picking up and knitting on the band, which made me happy. It is a twisted rib, and I'm actually quite enjoying doing the twisted rib. It adds a little bit of je ne sais quoi, as they say, to the rib portion. So I'm really looking forward to this, and I decided to use my French mustard. I did buy a bag of French mustard from my local yarn store, and so I'm knitting the French mustard, and I'm using my little yarn butler to keep my yarn straight while I'm knitting. So I've discovered that if you want to get some decent knitting done, it's a great idea to listen to an audiobook and knit at the same time. And it's been wonderful. I've been zooming through books, Lucy Foley's The Guest List. Critics dared to compare that to Agatha Christie, so I read, and then there were none after that. No comparison, in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think. Then someone told me her previous book was better. That was The Hunting Party, so I'm reading The Hunting Party now. So I think that's going to be a great addition to my my knitting repertoire, as I'll be able to listen and knit, especially when I'm doing the intarsia, because you need to concentrate more, and I can listen and concentrate on my knitting. Not so much this, but I do like to knit this. I think this is going to be one of those bedtime knits, a few rows before bed or a few rows first thing in the morning. Listen to a chapter or two of book, of an audiobook while you're doing it. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, and so while I'm doing this, I'm actually going to try and find some other wayward leftover projects that need to be finished and stick them in here while I'm knitting this rather long, I think it's 32 inches long, cardigan. But I think this cardigan is going to be spectacular. And can you imagine in the spring, this cardigan and my big paint daubs wrap around my neck if it's a cold day? Oh, it's going to be wonderful. So really looking forward to this. Speaking of Rowan 69 is on its way. On Ravelry, a couple of people in the UK have reported receiving their Rowan 69. So that means here in Canada and elsewhere in the world, it can't be far away. The actual release of Rowan's Spring-Summer 2021 designs is postponed till March the 15th to allow the books and the yarns to get all over the world again. You know, they've been having distribution problems just the way everybody else has distribution and supply and transportation and whatever. So the idea that I might get my Rowan magazine, my next Rowan magazine, before it's the official release date is really exciting, because that is what used to happen. I've been a Rowan member, a Rowan subscriber from before this time, but I used to love this. We used to get Rowan's subscription cards, and my first one was 2013. I already was a subscriber before that. And then 13, 14, 15, 16, and then they stopped doing their subscriber cards. And I just love these. I guess the idea was maybe there was stores that gave you discounts, or you got discounts on workshops or whatever. It didn't really do anything for me here in Canada, but I just love the idea of having my little, hey, I'm a Rowan subscriber card. So if you're a Rowan subscriber, look out for your magazine showing up in your mailbox maybe a little bit sooner than you expected. I don't know about you, but sometimes I get fixated on a design. And if I'm smart, this is what I do. I look at the design. I find out what yarn is required. Now this one really caught my eye back when it was first listed on Ravelry. It's called the Roll Neck Jumper. It's from Quill Studios Tweed Collection. It's got a beautiful black and white tweed coat on the front of this collection. And when it first was listed on Ravelry, for my size, it was 18 balls of Valley Tweed and 9 balls of Kid Silk Haze. Everybody went nuts. Oh my God, that's a lot of yarn. Sorry. Yes, I'm all confused because this was really confusing. So when it was first listed, it was listed as 18 balls of Kid Silk Haze and 9 balls of Valley Tweed. And then after a couple of people contacted Rowan and said that can't possibly be right. it was changed to 18 balls of Valley Tweed and 9 balls of Kid Silk Haze, because the Valley Tweed is held together with 1 strand of Kid Silk Haze. Well, this all just sort of totally, intrigued me, and I did have a couple of balls of Valley Tweed, a couple of skeins of Valley Tweed, and of course I've got Kid Silk Haze. So I got some yarn out and I did some swatching, and this is what I call being a swatch sleuth. My knit friends call me the swatch police because I'm always saying, did you swatch that? And, and they say, oh yeah, there's Anne talking about swatch skin. But swatching has a lot of purposes, and one way to use a swatch is to either confirm what you're thinking or maybe get rid of the fascination that you've got for something that maybe is totally might not be appropriate for you, and before you go spending all that money, because this is a significant investment. One thing I must admit about a lot of these new patterns that everybody's doing that use 2 yarns held together, it's a significant investment in yarn, and when you're investing in that much yarn, it's investing a lot of your hard-earned cash, right? Your knitting cash or your knitting allowance or whatever. So I got out the Valley Tweed and I got out some Kid Silk Haze, and the first swatch I did what the pattern said. It used 2 strands of Valley Tweed and 1 strand of mohair Kid Silk Haze. And in this case, it's can't remember the name. Oh, it's Littendale is the Valley Tweed, which is now sadly discontinued because I love this color. And I used Drab, which is the most amazing green. I don't know why it's called Drab, because it's the most amazing green. So you put those 2 together, 2 strands of Valley Tweed and 1 strand of Drab, and you get this gorgeous, gorgeous fabric. This is being washed. I don't block it seriously. I just pat my wash swatches down and get them nice and straight. I haven't steamed it or anything, but I loved when I did this. I loved the fabric, and I thought, oh look, it's got a little bit of a mohair haze on it, and it's firm, but it does have, can you call that drape? No, I actually don't think it has any drape. So thought, big sweater, turtleneck, love it. But on me, it would have to have some kind of drape. So I thought, okay, go back to the original thoughts on Ravelry, which was 2 strands of Kid Silk Haze and 1 of Valley Tweed. What do you think of that? Much, much fluffier. The color, I can tell the color on the screen is nowhere near the green that this is turning into in the real life swatch. But quite drapey, absolutely gorgeous. So while I haven't cast on yet, I haven't totally dismissed the idea of 1 strand of Valley Tweed and 2 strands of Kid Silk Haze. I don't have 18 balls of Kid Silk Haze. Kid Silk Haze gets in my eyes. I don't know why I love Kid Silk Haze so much. I think it's why it makes me cough on these video blogs, but I love Kid Silk Haze, and I do love the combination. And so I call this the Swatch Sleuth. So, what to do? If I knit this sweater, my plan is to use one strand of Valley Tweed, which means I need 9, which I have from a long ago abandoned project. And I would need 18 balls of Kid Silk Haze, which I don't have, but I have a heck of a lot of leftovers of Kid Silk Haze. So I'm wondering about taking the sweater and striping it, you know, striping it, splitting the body into 4 big stripes, or alternating stripes of color up, bigger stripes, not like maybe using the earth stripe wrap colors, but making bigger stripes than that, because I do have a lot of those earth stripe wrap colors left. Love the turtleneck on this. I do think it might be a little on the hot side. So it would be, you know, wear it underneath my coat and go for walks. It wouldn't be, well, I don't think too often it would be sitting around the house wearing it. I don't know. So I have to contemplate. I really, really want to think about, am I going to wear the sweater? Where am I going to wear it? Is it going to be something that I could actually go out in and wear and not want to rip it off halfway through the whatever? Again, we're not going out, so this is irrelevant at the moment, but I have got beautiful sweaters in my collection, my knit collection, that I don't wear because they're too hot. And I've actually sort of stopped wearing my Fair Isles because they're too hot. So they come out and they go underneath my coat and we go for a walk and nobody sees them, and come back and I take them off and I strip off, right? So I have to admit that at my age and my internal radiator temperature, my internal temperature, I need to adjust what I actually knit. And we here in Canada, our houses are centrally heated. Pretty much this house is 72 degrees all year round, 72 in the blazing heat of summer, 72 in the freezing cold of winter. It might even in the winter go up a couple of degrees, because when it's really freezing and the wind is really howling, it needs to pump more heat. So I really don't need heat from garments. A shawl is great because you can, if you got a little chill, you can wrap it on and you can take it off later on when the chill is gone. So I really like my wraps, but I need to look at the garments I'm going to make in the future. So that's it from Anne here on the Life LDC Knits channel. I hope you enjoyed our little chat today. If you have any questions at all, feel free to put them in the comments below. And I'm hoping that maybe my next video blog will be a review of Rowan Magazine 69, which should be officially released on March the 15th. So until then, please take care of yourself, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye. Go see. What's over there? What's over there? Go see. Go see. Come on. Come on. Rocky. Come on. Come on. Come on.